Alright, hello everyone, welcome to today's stream. So this is actually the first time I will be streaming tarot cards. So any problems, let me know, any issues and such, any oopsies and poo-poos, just forgive me. And, 'cause for this totally different setup you'll see in a second. Alright, welcome to my, fucking carpet. Alright, let's see, who's here? Assuming the viewer list is gonna work. Alright, I know Bozdogan was here, if he is here. The viewer list is not working, so just gonna see if any other regulars were here. All the that's showing is Frederick. Okay. I'm gonna really shorten this up unless someone really types on Hitbox, which I doubt. The feminine hands. How are these feminine hands? How are they feminine hands? What are you talking about? I work on a golf course. I do physical labor. What are you talking about? Feminine hands, pony hands. Anything they have calluses and stuff starting to form. Anyway, so yeah, this is weird though. Oh, Bozdogan, right? You weren't here for the Skylander stream. I showed my face, Bozdogan, on the Skylander stream. I would show my face now, but where the fucking card's gonna be? All right, move the mouse out of here. All right, folks. So I'm going to go with the assumption that nobody here knows what the fuck these are. And that's fine. All right. Actually, my off sync is fine. That's fine. Okay. Heretic. Yeah, so these are tarot cards. And what they're used for, I'm going to go over what they're used for and therefore what questions you should ask. They're used for gaining a different perspective on certain situations. They don't predict the future. They don't. They don't predict the future. In fact, they don't predict anything. The only thing they give you is possibilities. That's it. So they can present to you possibilities of a situation based on what your question is, what your goal is, all that sort of stuff. It really is very specific. Tarot cards are very specific to your question. And all they do is provide you an outcome. So there's nothing scary about them. They're just cards. They're just cards with various pictures and therefore meanings on them. That's all they are. There's nothing mystical about them. There's nothing, inherently spiritual about them. In terms of a sort of religious sort of thing. There's no religion tied to them or anything. Please don't show your face ever again. It's very normie-esque. Fuck off, Bozdogan. Your ass is normie-esque when I'm done with it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So what's an appropriate question to ask? Stuff like, an inappropriate question to ask would be, what's the future? They can't predict the future. They don't do that. That's not what these are for. They're basically, the logic goes that cards don't have emotions, they don't have feelings, they don't have biases. You have emotions. You have biases. And so, given a certain situation or a question, you might not be able to come up with a suitable answer or might not know something, and the cards offer you a different perspective because they, unlike us, are just cards. So the simplicity is actually the beauty of these things. So I've used them only a short time, so I'm not an expert or anything, but I have done other readings for other people off stream. So this is just weird for this. So if you have a question of any kind, let me give an example of an appropriate question to ask, and I'll do an example run. So an appropriate question to ask is something along the lines of, what will my work day bring tomorrow? Something like that. Now, I said they can't predict the future, but they can give possibilities of your future. You can't ask them, for example, how will I die? That doesn't work. You can't ask, you can ask, what's in store for me in the next 5 years. Again, they don't make predictions, though. It's not, there's nothing to be scared about. There's no good or bad cards. They're just cards. Even, I know people like fear the death card, for example, but it's not, there's no good or bad cards. There certainly are negative outcomes to things that the cards might tell you about, but it's not a guarantee, and it really is for your benefit to know about any sort of negative things that may or may not occur. So let me shuffle over here and give an example of a question you should ask or can ask. How do I view myself right now? That's a basic one. It's a 3-card spread usually, and I'll explain that as we go along. So I'm just gonna shuffle the deck here. What will you feed your cat in 5 years? not really a question that's worth asking, I think. You can come up with joke questions, but I don't know, put a little more effort in that. um, but mostly like, what part of myself am I ignoring? You can Google common questions that people would ask tarot cards, but I mean, if you want to do a joke question, that's fine with me because they are just cards. There's nothing special about them. All right, so for me, I went ahead and I'm gonna show you an example of where am I at right now, like as a person. Wait, show face. I've showed face on my Skylander stream. Showing my face will require me to fuck up the webcam, and then I have to bring it back down here, which is a pain in the butt. So I'm not doing that today if I can avoid it. You can go see the Skylander stream. If you die, your cow will eat you. And welcome to the stream, Ganja Pimp. Alright, so I'm gonna cut. You can cut these any way you want. There's no rules. That's actually one of the first things to know about tarot. There's no rules. Everyone can make their own spreads. Of course, you can find a bunch online that are used for different purposes, but again, there's no rules. So I'm going to do a 3-card spread of, how do I see myself right now? That's the question in terms of 3 different sectors. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a card here. This will be the first card. I'm just watching the camera so I can try to match these up. Don't worry, I'll move these out of the way in a second. And my second card will be here. I'm just picking at random. There's nothing special about the way I'm picking, although I am going to arrange these 3 cards in a certain way, just to indicate different aspects of how I see myself. Because you see yourself, you have multiple masks, things like that you wear. Now I'm actually going to, did I flip any of those? Actually, I didn't flip any of those. Oh, well, it's fine. Some of them are already flipped in here. But reversals are a little tricky, of course. Okay, so the 3-card spread of how I see myself right now. Now, remember, it's kind of reverse for you guys. Don't worry, I'll show you the cards as they actually are from my perspective. And the top card represents basically my ideal sort of how I see myself. The right card represents my rational thinking, how my rational thinking is doing my logical side. And the left one, again, this is reverse for you guys, I know, but don't worry, I'll explain everything. And this one represents my sort of creative side. So, is there a black man for a card? I don't think there's actually any black guys at all in the card. So there's that. So my first card is... this is very accurate. The 10 of Wands. And I'll explain each one as we go. This is actually a reversal. The 5 of Wands. That's interesting. Getting all wands. Ooh. And the 9 of Swords reversed, though. Okay. So, let's go through each card one by one, and I'll make this as quick as possible so you guys can go ahead and ask your questions. So feel free to ask any questions whatsoever, and I will answer them. 10 of Wands. Right, so this is what the card looks like from my perspective. This is how I drew it. This is how I saw. By the way, always when you draw them, when you flip them over, from the side. That way, if it's reversed, it stays that way. So the 10 of Wands represents a burden, obviously. Carrying a heavy burden. So how I see myself right now, I'm carrying a lot of burdens. I have a job now. I want to move out. I've got a lot of things on my mind. So this card, pretty accurate. I'm not going to go into terrible detail because this stream is about you guys asking questions. So I'm not going to, examine every little aspect I can of a card in terms of, this particular question and scenario. But feel free to ask anything else. You don't need to ask this specific question. Now, this is the 5 of Wands. And I got this. This is also surprisingly accurate. So I got this reversed. So it looks like this reversed. So what does a reversal do? It doesn't necessarily mean the opposite of a card's meaning. It could mean even worse of what a card shows. It depends really on the question. So this is my rational thinking side. Now this literally represents what happened at work today, which is why it's so accurate. So normally the card is like this, right? So you see a bunch of guys arguing over, maybe who's got the bigger wand or which wand they want, all that kind of stuff. I know that's not sexual, but it could be. And so remember, I found it like this. So this actually sort of works 2 ways. So at work, actually, I had an argument, not an argument, but a misunderstanding because some of the guys I work with, they don't speak English too well. And my boss actually had to chew him out because he wasn't doing the job right, and I was trying to explain to him that he wasn't doing the job right, and he was like, I don't give a shit. So, yeah, that actually works this way. But I did get it reversed, and the reason it's actually reversed is that in the same token, I also had a guy at work today, and this is why I said this was my rational part of how I see myself, and this was a rational thing that occurred at work today. So in terms of work, I try to get the job done without any fighting, right? So that's why this showed up reversed, right? There's no, so this would, in this case, this I would understand this as, okay, so I rationally try to achieve things without any sort of fighting, without any sort of arguments, and just try to get whatever needs to be done in a situation done. And that's what happened with another worker who did understand me because he spoke English. And we got along just fine. And any issues either one of us had, we worked it out, no problem, nothing happened. Good things happened, if anything, and we wished each other a good day. So this actually showed up like that. So that actually is very accurate. This is pretty accurate. Now the Nine of Swords. I think I've seen this card. I don't think I've seen this card yet, actually. Okay, so Nine of Swords. Normally it looks like this. A rather sad man, also seemingly a heavy burden sort of look to it, but also perhaps a sense of loneliness. Since they are swords, it could indicate something along the lines of, say, a death that this man experienced, say the death of someone that was close to him. He is alone in his bed. Maybe it was his wife or something along those lines. Maybe the household in general had a loss of some kind. But again, it showed up for me reversed. So this is my feelings. And in this case, it would mean something along the lines of, well, this is actually pretty common. I've done other readings. I've done this reading before a few days ago. And this is actually not that different. They're different cards that I got each time, but they're not that different from each other in terms of the understanding of the cards. Since the reversal of this would obviously indicate that there's no loss. Nothing was destroyed, nothing was killed, and my emotions are pretty stable. And overall, I've been pretty happy overall. Or content, rather, is actually, my last reading involved a card that indicated contentment or satisfaction. So again, this is a pretty accurate reading. I've never actually had a reading that was inaccurate. So it's pretty cool how it always works out that way. In fact, if Inflamus is here, you could ask him. Inflamus had a very accurate reading that I gave him about his job appointment that was going to happen because the government wanted to give him a job. He had an appointment, so he asked me how it went. He got the, funnily enough, no joke, he got the Magician, right, because he's a wizard, he got the Magician card reversed. I seem pretty happy on streams. Why would I not be happy? And Rob, feel free to give me a question. Give me a question. It just has to be an appropriate question, but, I mean, there's really no limit here. Try to be serious. I will say, please try to be serious. Do try. But I do seem to. Well, yeah, but I'm pretty happy on streams. Yeah, I mean, I'm not usually emotionally. I'm very. In fact, actually, I did a 6-card spread. I'm not going to do one on stream per se, just because those take a while since there's 6 cards. And the other thing too, that I didn't really go into is you can take all 3 of these cards as they were, and sort of combine them together and see, what similarities there are, and certain cards might mean certain things differently if they're in combination with other cards. But for the 3-card spread that I was doing for my question, they usually are pretty separate things: your rational side, your emotional side, and how you see yourself right now. But yeah, you could do the same sort of question. How will my flight to Spain be later today? Welcome to the stream, Zolan. That is a perfectly suitable question. If you don't have a suitable question, I will let you know and tell you why it's not suitable. Because certain questions just don't work, like how will you die? Because technically speaking, everyone dies the same way, by no longer being conscious, no heartbeat. So there's nothing to answer there. So you can't ask a question that has only one answer, basically. That's really the only limit. How will my flight to Spain be later today? So the way this works is when someone else is asking a question, I will involve them in the process of shuffling the cards to a degree. And while I'm shuffling the cards, if a card pops out accidentally, what I do is I put that to the side, because it could be the tarot is trying to tell us something about with that card. So keep it as like a contextual thing. But so what I'm gonna do, Zolan, how many times would you like me to cut this deck? And so what I'm doing here is I'm asking Zolan to sort of cut the cards as he likes. There's no rules. You can ask me 27 times if you want. I will cut them 27 times. It doesn't matter to me. There's no rules. And the point is, Zolan's the one asking the question, so Zolan's the one that has to talk to the cards. And he's got to find the card, so to speak, that will answer his question. So go ahead and tell me how many times you'd like me to cut the deck. And then we'll get into a few other questions before we do that. So 4 cuts. Making sure I stay on the camera here. 1. I will mix them up a little bit. 4. Okay, Zolan. Of these 4 cuts, which one are we working with? And we'll be going 1, 2, 3, 4. So just give me a number 1 through 4 of what one we're working with, and the rest of them we're ignoring. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put music on. I'm sorry, guys. Just a slight bit of music. Let me know if that's too loud. It shouldn't be too loud. Let me know if it's not loud enough. So 1. So we're going to work with 1. This is 1. Yeah, the rest of these can fuck off. They're irrelevant. Okay. Now, I'm going to shuffle this a little bit. And then I'm just going to cut it again, flip that over. Shuffle it again. Now the reason you want to shuffle it each time you ask a question is you don't just, show up to a test and be like, here's my answer. You gotta study first, you gotta learn the information, all that sort of shit. So same sort of thing with tarot cards, you want to give the cards a chance to sort of, answer your question. Alright. So one more flip. Actually do this. We're gonna put this was the bottom, that's in the middle. Alright, Zolan. You want the top or bottom card of this? That's the question now. Either the top one or the bottom one, whichever one. And there's no rules. I'm just making it up as I go, but I try to give input to the one who's asking the question. But I usually do it the same way for everyone. But then again, there's no right or wrong. So I might do it a different way for someone else, just that way it's like, there's nothing special about what I'm doing. Top card. That's your card. Okay. So for this particular question, I'm only going to do a 1-card spread, since it's a pretty straightforward question. But if someone asked me, for example, about, how they see themselves at this moment, although that is a personal question, be aware this is a live stream, so other people will be seeing that information. So as personal as you want to get, feel free to. I got a little bit personal, but I don't care. It's fine. Can we do song requests? Nah. No time for that. So the card you got is the 8. Is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7 of Pentacles, right side up. This is your card. Okay. So we've got a man here who's looking at various pentagrams. So a pentagram is not necessarily an evil thing, for the record. To me, it sort of represents a sphere of knowledge. Again, now, before I continue, Zolan, you can feel free to interpret this card however the fuck you like. Don't listen to me, right? The card is the one that's speaking to you. I'm just trying to give you the information of what the card could indicate, what it could indicate. Again, these things don't tell the future. They don't have anything set in stone. So the way you'd use the cards, any card for any question, is to look at it and use its perspective that it's giving you in whatever way to benefit you. And it might change the outcome of your situation. So your flight will probably be, he looks pretty disinterested. So you'll probably be a little bored, I would say. And you'll probably have a situation where you're trying to find entertainment. You're trying to find, say, knowledge or something to occupy your time during your flight. And you'll probably be dissatisfied with just about all of it. Probably bored. That's what I would argue from this. Now, that's just from looking at the picture of the card. Now, you also get a little book with your deck that gives a quote-unquote professional opinion of what the card means. And I do look these up for cards I've never seen before or cards that I forget. But again, there's really no rule, so you can interpret it just from the picture itself. You could certainly allude to certain symbolisms like the pentagram itself, or you can not, you can ignore it. That's actually a farm tool, I believe. And the crops are actually a little dead. So again, everything's sort of rotten. You'll probably just be bored, is what I'm getting from this card. But feel free to interpret it anytime, any way you like. But the Seven of Pentacles means it's a young man leaning on his staff, looking intently at 7 pentacles attached to a clump of greenery on his right. One would say that these were his treasures and that his heart was there. Right, so he's disinterested. Now, because it's right side up, the regular meaning is that these are exceedingly contradictory. In the main, it is a card of money, business, barter, but one reading gives altercation, quarrel, and another innocence, inambiguity, or purgation. It's another word. I don't think I've ever actually heard that word and or used that word. Meaning money, business, and barter. So it is actually a farm. It is basically trade goods here. So you could interpret it that way, but again, the professional meaning often doesn't really work because the professional meaning is like a sort of several meanings things, but it's not contextual to your question. That's why I tend to just prefer to go with what the card is showing us, rather than go from a professional thing, because that professional reading, quote unquote, doesn't really help us understand in terms of context to your question. So, Zolan, let me know. Is that satisfied with your answer? Because I wouldn't expect the plane to crash, basically. But I would say everything you usually do to entertain yourself in a flight, you might want to try something new, because it seems like everything that you've been trying before probably will bore you in some way or another. You might just be bored. So you might want to go ahead and pick up a new hobby, grab a new book or something, a new game, whatever it is. Music is a bit too loud? Let me know if that's better, Frederick. There's supposed to be background noise at best. Alright, cool. So that's done. And you are very welcome, Zolo. And again, feel free to ignore the fuck out of me. You know, there's no right answer. I'm just here to interpret the card for you. Alright. You said do me last time, Rob. Give me a question. just say your question, guys. Don't say do me. Because that would be gay. Just ask me a question. You did ask me a question? Well, you said should go to trade school. You didn't ask should I go to trade school. Is that your question? Should I go to trade school? I mean, I can already tell you that one. Yes. But if you want the tarot to answer that, that's fine. We can do that. All right. So this time, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do some crazy shit. Whee! Look at that. See, like I said, there's no rules. There's no right way to do this. So we're mixing them all up. Now this is a rather lengthy process of getting them back together, but you know, it mixes them up quite nicely. Flips them all around, all that stuff. So should you go to trade school? I mean, my personal answer, of course, is yes. I already know I am. You already know you're going to trade school. Feel free to ask anything else. You know, I mean, they're already shuffled. They're ready for another question. They're pretty shuffled. But what will the experience be at trade school? That's a perfectly suitable question. So I don't think there's really anything with regards to trade school you can ask. You can even ask, you know, will trade school be successful? You can even ask that. Again, really the only real limitations on questions are stupid shit like, how will I die? But, you know, again, there's only one way to die. There's no... That's the end of your pulse. There's nothing the cards can tell you about that. They don't predict the future. So. Right, why is this being so difficult? How will the future of school education look like? That is an appropriate question, actually. The question doesn't need to relate to you. It can be what Frederick asked. It could be about a certain system. You could even ask the tarot cards, you know, what is the purpose of tarot? And honestly, usually a lot of these have that answer. Not all of them. So, what will your experience at do his question? Nigga, I'm doing your question first, Rob, then I'll do Frederick's, but it's fine. What will the experience be? So, I'm gonna do just a one-card spread for you, Rob. So, Rob, how many cuts in our deck here? That is very nicely shuffled. How many cuts? Each question will be answered in order. 5 cuts. Stay on camera? Uno. Dos. That's 3. That's 4. Okay, Rob. Which of these 4 piles gets the last cut? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how I usually do it when you give me an odd number, by the way. But, you know, there's no rules. I mix it up. $48 divided by 7. Really, Rob? 7, 14, 21. Wait, wait, 7, 4. It's not even... That doesn't work, Rob. Rob, if you're not gonna... 3. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Jesus Christ. If you're gonna bullshit me, I'll just fucking pick it for you. It's not mathable. Well, you didn't figure that out beforehand? Alright. This is the one we're working with. We're gonna cut it again. Alright, Rob. Which of these 2 do you want? We don't need this. 1 or 2? And again, I completely randomized this, so how I do it for your question, you know, whoever you are, might be different. It's completely random. Which one is which? Just fucking 1, 2. 1, 2. It goes from my left to my right. That's how I'm counting, so. 1, 2, 2. Fuck out of here. Alright. So how many cards do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards. Give me a number, Rob. That's your card. Go ahead. 1 through 9. And again, the reason I do this is to let you talk with the cards, since it's your question. Because if I do it, then, you know, it's me talking to the cards. So 9. Whip! Number 9. Here's a card you couldn't get. No, alright. Moment of truth. What's the card? It is the moon. Face up. Normal orientation. That's your card. Give you a nice look at that. Good as I can. There we go. Trying to make it flat. Okay. So the Nine of Moon. I never actually have seen this card. Let's see what the quote-unquote professional says. This is actually one of the major cards. So, in case, basically as a rule of thumb, if it has the name on the bottom like that, it's one of the major arcana, as it's known. Which doesn't necessarily mean anything, but just something to be aware of. There's different arcanas, the different suits. That's why I knew that, like, oh, this is the 8 of Swords, right? Because it shows swords. There's swords, cups, wands, and pentacles. I think maybe something else, but who knows? So the moon, hidden enemies, danger, calumny, darkness, terror, deception, and error. So how will the experience be at trade school, Rob? According to this card, given your mindset, your current situation, your current emotional state, your current way of thinking, it's looking freaking terrible. So your experience will probably be awful. Now, this doesn't mean everything. Now, I'm actually slightly being a little funny. I'm being a little funny, Rob. There are no good or bad cards. So this card does not actually... That's what the professional meaning is. If we actually look at this, of course, we've got 2 dogs howling, a scorpion, a rather not-so-happy-looking moon. I'm trying to get this on the... There we go. This card is shit. There's no good or bad cards. Let me explain, Rob. I'm trying to explain here. This doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. Doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. Now, firstly, you can see the person inside of here. Now, this is the moon. But what the fuck is this shit? Well, this is the sun behind it. Now, behind every bad thing, there is a good thing. So, even though this is just the professional meaning. It doesn't matter, right? The Twin Towers. Yes. Okay. So we do have a rather upset-looking person in the moon. 2 dogs that are certainly howling. Wolves, maybe. Probably wolves. Longer tails than that. And a scorpion coming out of this rather moving river. And we got some mountains in the background. And the 2 towers sort of imposing themselves in the background. Feel free to... Yeah. I'm going to do Frederick's question next, but if you have a question in terms of how the cards work, let me know. Although I'm no expert. Again, there's no real experts to this. So, is the camera getting blurry? I could have sworn I turned autofocus off. Because, no, okay, it's fine. How do I feel right this second? Well, I can't exactly answer that at that fucking second. You could ask how you feel, but we'll see if the card is correct on that. Yeah, you can ask that question. But, so Rob, for your experience to trade school, let's get this reading over with. Basically, while the card's professional meaning is certainly bad, and certainly this is not a very happy situation, right? You got the 2 imposing towers, wolves howling, rather upset-looking man. Now, my thing to you, Rob, would be that your experience at trade school may not be pleasant, but, as the card has here, behind the moon is the sun. So, maybe your outlook on trade school, maybe you certainly have to interact with people you're probably not going to like. You have to probably do work you're not going to necessarily want to do all the time. Trust me, I hear a lot of bitching at my job. Not that I bitch, because I really don't, because as we showed in my reading, right, I'm a very content person, so I don't really care. So I would say, Rob, that your experience with your current mindset, with your current outlook, with your current approach to how trade school is going to go for you, not looking good. So what is this card basically telling you? The card's telling you, change something. Change your outlook, change your disposition toward it, change your work ethic, something along those lines. Something needs to be changed for your experience at trade school to be more pleasant or more enjoyable or more educational even. You're not going to learn something if you have a bad outlook. You're not going to succeed if you have a bad emotional state or emotional control or something like that. So the card is not bad. Again, there's no good or bad cards. This card is just telling you, hey, given the current situation, whatever that may be, something needs to be changed if you don't want it to be less than stellar. And maybe it won't be stellar. Maybe it will still be just average. Who knows? Again, the card doesn't predict the future. It's just telling you, with your current stuff, probably not great. But, it's not a bad card. Just saying. There's no bad cards. And again, even these quote-unquote... Now, cards can certainly say bad things, right? Like, bad outcomes. But that just means change something. Something needs to be changed. And again, the sun is behind the moon. So, every darkness has some kind of light to it, right? So, and the moon is actually shiny anyway. The moon's not even dark. And the man is not so much upset. If we actually look at it again just for a second. I know I've been spending a lot of time on this question. The man's not necessarily upset, but he is... He's not upset. The emotional state that it's showing here on the face is more so troubled or in deep concentration. Try to show that close up. It's not sadness. It's not anger, right? It's some kind of deep thought. So again, not necessarily a terrible experience, but maybe an unpleasant one, With your current outlook, which by the way, if you look at yourself in chat, I mean, clearly that's the case, because you think everything's bad. So there you go, Rob. That's fine though. Just gotta change it. It's just something you gotta change. Might be your emotions, might be your philosophy, your perspective, you know. I'm just saying. I'm here to help. That's all I'm here to do. Okay, for Frederick's question. What will the education system, right? Where do you go? Where? I just want to get it. How will the future of the school education look like? Okay, that's a suitable question. Although I think I already know the answer, but my answer doesn't matter. What matters is the card's answer. So let me shuffle this a little bit. Ready for the first burp on stream? Oh wait, no, I had it, but I held it back just to make that line, and then it's gone now. No, I know who the next question was. Just a matter of getting the exact wording. I didn't want to take his words out of his mouth. Just shuffling them up. One more big ol' shuffle. One card fell out. I'm just gonna put this to the side. This may not be the answer, but anything that falls out, I sort of just keep to the side as something of like a, you know, extra contextual thing, because it might be trying to tell us something. I've never actually seen this one either, but we'll see. But it actually, I think just looking at it on base level, I definitely think it actually makes a lot of sense for this question, but put that to the side for now. All right, Frederick. This one, gonna do a little different, Frederick. Top or bottom card? No cuts. Top or bottom? Top. See this card? No, you don't. It's gone. All right, Frederick. Give me top or bottom, but this time 1 through 5. So either top 3 or like top 4 or bottom 2, whatever you want. Bottom 3. 1, 2, 3. See this card? No, you don't. It's gone. All right, Frederick. Last one. Top 1 through 3 or bottom 1 through 3. Now this is the card you're picking. This is actually going to be the card you're picking. Top 2, bottom 1, bottom 3, whatever. I don't know if you heard that next snap. Top 1. So the card we never touched. Okay. Top recovery never got there. Actually, the top. Oh, wait, we did throw one top away. No, we did throw one top away, so that's fine. All right. That's your card. All right. This is the answer I would have given. So we have the 8 of cups. 8 of cups. So what we have here is trying to get this on camera. Stretch out here. So we've got the moon looking terribly disinterested, and we have all these cups, and a man sort of just walking away with a cane. Now what this shows contentment. It shows perhaps disdain, or you know, a lack of need. You know, the man sees all these cups, whatever might be in them, he doesn't need them, right? He's walking away. And the moon looks pretty content. Perhaps you could argue maybe a little sad, but I would say it looks more so content, maybe disinterested in what's going on. And again, very dull colors. In fact, really, the man's the brightest color. Trying to keep it on camera. Sorry, guys. And so what would this say with regards to your question of what the education system will look like? Well, it probably will be walked away from, which is what's happening anyway as it is. Namely, the male population is walking away from college. A lot more people are going to trade school now, as indicated by Rob, for example. A lot of people doing that. The guy I work with, he's not going to college. He's going to go to a trade school. So I would say the education system in terms of, high school, college, that sort of stuff, basic stuff, people are probably going to walk away from it. People are probably not satisfied with it. It's not good enough for them. It may have all of these little things in their cups, but it's not good enough for them. And this is the answer I would have given you if you just asked me instead of that. But look at that, the card gave us that. Now, if we look at the card that fell out while we were doing this, we sort of see a similar thing, but I've never actually looked at the professional opinion for this card. But what we see in this card is that I'm just gonna say it's a person. I don't know if it's a man or woman. Sort of a person over here, and we have all these cups filled with different things. And this actually, I would say, is a good representation of the educational system. You've got various different symbols that could mean a various sort of thing. Maybe drama, play, geography. Some sort of maybe sports, Olympics sort of thing. Various sort of educational spheres. Now, the middle one, though, I'm a little confused by that one. There's also a snake, which might also represent something about the educational system, of course. I'm sure you guys can figure that one out. And even some kind of shiny jewels. And now this person, on the other hand, besides the card that gave us the answer, I would say this is, what was I going to say? I just lost it because I was distracted by noises in the house because other people are in the house. Right, this is like some sort of jewelry, diamonds, jewels, shiny things, sort of a, let me show closer, sort of a faux pas, so to speak, how school is sort of cosmetically looking great, but not so good, which I would agree. So let me just look at the professional finger quote, because I've never actually have seen this card before. So the Seven of Cups. Strange chalices of vision. Divinatory meanings. Fairy favors, images of reflection, imagination, sentiment. Things seen in the glass of contemplation. That speaks a lot about school. Some attainment in these degrees, but nothing permanent or substantial is suggested. So there's something to be gained from school, but nothing that's actually useful. That's basically what that card is saying. So it fell out. Again, there's 78 cards in this thing, so it's actually rather impressive how accurate these cards are. I would say that was a very interesting question. And quite accurate. Again, sometimes the professional meanings, the reason you don't go solely off of them is because, again, the card says different things based on what your actual question is. It depends. They're very specific. They're not generalized. You can't, ask a general question. All right, so how do I feel? You know what? Let's see how fucking accurate this one is. It'll work. It's an appropriate question. Just shuffle them up. Actually, I'm getting a little quicker with regards to shuffling them, but again, I've only actually... These cards are big, by the way. That's kind of like, you may think, like, wow, it takes a long time to shuffle them. These are like an extra third the size of a regular deck of playing cards, so they're actually a bit of a challenge to shuffle, especially grabbing just small sections of them, but I'm getting a little better at it after just really only doing this maybe 10 times total, including the stream. Big for 5 out of 5. Yeah, out of all the readings so far everyone's been saying they're pretty accurate. Although the plain one, we don't know. Ganji will have to tell us if that was actually accurate or not, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility to be bored on an airplane flight, so It's not like we got something completely out of freaking, question like the devil. And yeah, the devil's a card. So is death. Like I said, none of the cards are bad, though. There's no bad or good cards. There's certainly cards that tell you not so good things, but, nothing bad. So how do you feel? All right. Well, Zolan, let's see. What are we going to do for you, Zolan? We're going to do a regular sort of thing. How many cuts, Zolan? This stream is pretty interesting. I'm glad you think so, Frederick. This won't be the only time I'm streaming tarot cards. This is just happens to be the first time I'm doing it. Not many people on Twitch seem to do it, though. 2 cuts. I was taking a drink. Sorry. 2 cuts. 1, 2. 2 cuts. All right, Zolan. Of these 3, which one do we flip? I'm gonna do a full flip. We flip 2. Whee! It's all flipped. Shuffle it again. All right, Zolan. Give me a number. Any number. 1 through 78. This will be a long one. This is completely needless, but whatever. Try to mix it up. Seven. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's our card. Look at that. The moon. Again. Right side up moon. So, Zolan. I don't really need to go in detail about this card. Is this at all accurate? You don't need to go into detail, because I know it's a bit of a personal question per se. But is this accurate? In any way, shape, or form? Just let us know. I'm trying to get it. Jesus. I have to stretch out my hand. You don't know how far my arm is actually stretching here. No? It's not accurate at all? You sure? So you're not in any sort of... not necessarily right now, because you asked how you feel. Do you feel on a regular basis, You're the happiest you've ever been. Let's see. Maybe the card. The happiest I've ever been. But is your happiness shown? Do you actually emote this? Because if your happiness is in the background, this card would still make sense because of the sun in the background. So the question is, are you extroverted in your emotions? Are you letting other people witness this happiness? Are you sharing this happiness? Is this happiness just something that you own and not other people own? Not really. So you're not really visibly showing other people you're happy. Well, that could be what this card is indicating in order to answer your question. Now, you could argue that's a bit of a stretch, but again, it's really not, because again, there's the sun in the background, so your happiness could be the sun in the background. Which you have all this sort of despair and impositions going on in your happiness, given you just told us that, you're not showing that you're happy to other people or that other people around you aren't necessarily happy. That's what this could indicate. So again, there's no good or bad cards, even though the card's meaning, right, typically shows obviously not a happy scene, but there is still the sun there. So besides all this sadness, the opposition, the imposing towers and everything, the rain that's happening from even the sun itself, it looks like these are actually yellow sort of raindrop looking things. There's still that sun in the background that's shining like nobody's business. So, there you go. Still kind of accurate, I would say. Again, you can feel free to be like, clearly you're full of shit, remember, it's just a card. It's not, there's nothing mystical about these. The reason that these things work is more so because of quantum mechanics sort of stuff, because we're all connected by the quantum field. I know that might just be like, something way over your head, but I mean, it's true. So we're all connected. There's nothing, that is I mean, think about your body yourself. You're not an individual. You are trillions upon trillions of cells. So you're not really one thing. You're trillions of things. In fact, most of your body, by the way, in terms of by volume, I think is the proper term, is bacteria. So most of you is not even you. So something to be aware of. And you wouldn't be able to live without bacteria. So both good and bad. Can I ask another one? I have no questions, so feel free. So, I got nothing else on the queue. But anyone is welcome to ask any questions they would like that are suitable. I'll let you know if it's not suitable, but if it is, it is. Oh, and in terms of stretching the card meanings like that, it's not actually out of the question, because again, sometimes cards don't give you a straight answer. I've been rather lucky. Most cards that I've done for readings give you a straight answer. This is an example of a card the first time that sort of tripped us up, but it still does work. So I'm just saying, it's not really me stretching it out. It's just perhaps the card is not necessarily direct as usually they are. Is my family happy with me? Well, I appreciate that you're open to asking personal questions like that, because this is a live stream. So, I understand if people don't want to ask personal questions, or at least not so personal, but that's fine. You're anonymous, so as far as we know. So, shuffle them up and throw that down. Whee! That's not the whole deck, so we're not doing that again. Unless you really want to. Really should have a cleaner carpet than this, but just so the cards don't get scratched up. Is my family happy with me? My penis happy with me? So, what we're gonna do for this? How many cuts, Zolan? That's fine, Frederick. You can ask whatever kind of questions you like. It could even be a funny question. I'm fine with that as long as you actually put some effort in your funny question. And it has to be, of course, suitable still. 4 cuts. And still on camera? Still on camera. Making sure I stay on camera. 4 cuts. All right, Zolan. Pick 2. Any 2. 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 4, whatever. Pick 2. You'll see why I'm asking for 2. Now, I've only done 1 card spread so far. Actually, I did a 3 card spread at the start with me, but this actually we're going to do a 2 card spread, and I'll explain why. Again, there's no rules, but I have a method behind why I'm asking for 2. Or 3 too. I says 2. I pick 2. Pick 2. Which of these 2? Zolan, you can't have 3. Zolan, no. You speak to the cards, but I have to direct you to the cards. No. Pick 2. I need 2. I need 2 numbers, not 3 numbers. 3 and 2. So 1, 2, 3, and 2. And these go bye-bye. Stay in your spot, cards. Here we go. Okay, we got 2 piles here. Zolan. So tell me, Zolan, top or bottom card for this? Top or bottom card for this? I'll explain why I did 2. But it could be top or bottom for either one. So just say top or bottom for this one, top or bottom for this one. What is Hollywood's view on reboots? Hollywood's view on reboots? I mean, isn't that obvious though, Frederick? Isn't that obvious, though? Since they keep fucking making them. I don't really pay attention to Hollywood movies. I'm more likely to watch something that's at least not American Hollywood. I've watched plenty of movies, actually. Well, not plenty. Several movies from, like, European countries that are, like, AAA productions from there that we in the States never really see. For example, I think I watched The Hunted, which was actually a Dutch movie about a man who was accused of being a pedophile. And it was a very fascinating movie, because a movie like that would not happen in America. It just wouldn't happen. Just not something we would see. So the reason I picked 2 cards here... well, that's the thing, Frederick. If it's an obvious question, I don't really think you need to ask the tarot cards. That stuff. But if you insist, I guess we could, if no one else has a question. So someone else please have a question, because it's a really fucking obvious one. Alright, so the reason I picked 2 cards here, Zolan, is you asked if your family was happy with you. Now, I'm presuming your family has 2 members. I guarantee your family has 2 members in it, even if one of them isn't around. Your mother and your father. Or, hopefully not, your parents aren't gay or some shit. Now, the reason I say that is not because of gay people, it's just because lesbian homes or gay homes have a lot more issues than just straight heterosexual couples. So, Zolan, which one is your mother and which one is your father? And then the other one will be the opposite. So you tell me which one, this one, number 1 or number 2. So tell me like 1 mother or 2 mother or whatever you want. We'll see what your family feels about you. The left one is the mother. Your left or my left? That's why I prefer numbers, because the camera is inverted. That's why I prefer numbers. So 1 or 2 is the mother. I'm assuming it's your left, which would be this. But is 2 your mother, or is 1 your mother? It's really all you need, and then the other one will be your father. My left. This is your mother. This is your father. Okay, let's look at each one individually. So you got the 6 of Swords inverted. So this is what it normally looks like, but here's how it came up. So it was actually inverted. I think I've had this one before, but we'll get to that one in a second. I just want to show you both of them. So your father got the Empress right side up. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, man, why did my father get a card with, like, a woman on it? Well, you know, it's nothing to do with that. It has to do with what the card means. And more often than not, it's not necessarily, like, a gender thing. It's more of a, It's more of what the card is showing us rather than what the sex is necessarily. Some people might argue that, but I argue the sex doesn't inherently matter. It's the message of the card that matters, because then you get into stupid political shit, and I don't give a fuck. 6. So the 6 of Swords. I don't think I've actually seen the professional opinion on this card, so this one's your mother. So let's look at your mother first. Now that is inverted, so that's something to bear in mind. The 6 of Swords. A ferryman carrying passengers. Try to show you this card while I read it. Hard to open this book, though, with one hand. Yeah, there we go. Alright, a ferryman carrying passengers in his punt to the further shore. So the regular meaning, like this, means journey by water, route, way, envoy, commissionary, or expedient. Now also this is a rather sad-looking scene, but it was inversed. So this is how it actually showed. And on the inverse side, professional opinion is declaration, confession, publicity. One account says that it is a proposal of love. So, again, professional opinion doesn't necessarily mean shit, because again, it's not contextual to your question. Just normally what the card means. So, in this case, since it is inverted, well, first of all, let's look at it in reversals are kind of weird. Because, again, it doesn't necessarily mean the opposite. It really depends on your question. But let's look at it normally upside first. So normally upside, we've got 6 swords in a boat. A woman, seemingly, we would assume her child. Yeah, definitely or maybe she married a midget. Who knows? And a guy ferrying them across the river. This is a very solemn scene. You know, some sort of death occurred. Or maybe a sacrifice is about to happen. Something like that. But inverted. What does this actually then mean inverted? I would say that there's no questions of where we're going. Because this card normally has a lot of questions, right? Where are they going? What happened? What was sad? Is there, is someone going to die? There's no question about how your mother feels about you. There's no questioning about it, which is, you may think that's a little ironic because you did ask a question of how your family feels about you, but at least for your mother, there's no question about how she feels about you. And there's also no question that she probably does not feel bad about it. She probably is not, she's probably not even asking herself how she feels about you. She probably has a very specific emotion about you. There's probably no turbulent waters in that because we are on a boat here, right? And, yeah, so there's probably a proclamation. And remember, the professional opinion is also that this is a proposal of. Again, you can listen to me all you like, or you could just be like, Claire, you're full of shit, and just to make your own interpretation. But I would say your mother definitely probably doesn't feel terrible about you. And she probably is very specific in how she feels about you. She probably doesn't need to think about it. Most parents, I would assume, at the very least, superficially, say, oh, I love my child. At the very least, superficially. If not, at least well-meaning. But, some parents say, I hate my kid, I want them to die. Hey, hey, world's terrible. So there's your mother. We're actually going to hold on to that card, just, in case something comes up. And so your father got the Empress right set up. Now, I've never actually heard the professional opinion on this card. Let's see what the professional opinion is. The Empress. Regularly, she means fruitfulness, initiative, action, long days. It's fascinating, because I'm sure your father works. At the very least, your father works, and he probably works a harder job and or a longer job than your mother. Just saying, you can go ahead and call me sexist all you like. I don't give a fuck. It's probably true. Clandestine, the unknown, difficulty, doubt, and ignorance. Now, this is actually, I would say, rather true in most cases. The father usually has a tougher time with their emotions toward their children. And I would argue that most fathers are very, shall we say, conditional on when they love and conditional on how they love. Rather than mothers, which are usually pretty binary. Either they fucking hate you, i.e. they want to murder you in their womb, i.e. abortion, or they like you enough that they'll give you shit. That's... Mothers are pretty much binary, I would say, but fathers are a lot more turbulent with their kids. And so this is showing us that there's a lot of action happening with your father's emotions. There's a lot of flipping around. There's a lot of movement. That's the professional interpretation, of course. If we actually look at the image, we certainly have, number one, a heart down here with a feminine logo on it. But again, I mean, this is just like a heart symbol, basically. In terms of your question, I don't think really the gender there signifies anything. Because again, it is your father's. I mean, I don't think it really signifies anything. And of course, we have a queen. Now, your father probably feels that he is certainly above you, that he rules over you. I mean, after all, he is your father, so most parents think that. Whether or not that's actually true, of course, is up to your interpretation. Personally, I don't think so. But, so certainly he feels like he's definitely superior to you in some way, because this is royalty, right? Let's see, what's on that? There's a bunch of, what seemed to be some kind of fruits or something on her dress. So maybe he wants to support you. It could be that, because the Empress and the Emperor as well, I would imagine, being royalty, give to their people, right? Because that's the whole point of, having a leader, is they give things to you. Rights, privileges, food, water, various other services. So your father could feel that maybe he wants to give you something. Maybe he feels love, again, it's right there. Maybe he feels that you need to be deserving of something in order to actually get it. You know, because usually you have to impress royalty. You have to impress your masters, so to speak. I'm using that word loosely. You have to impress your masters in order to get something from them, right? So that's what this would be saying to me. And also the fact, again, from the professional's opinion, that your father often changes his feelings about you. His feelings about you are not stationary. They shift around based on various conditional circumstances, which on one hand, a little sad in my book, but honestly, most parents are like that because most people who are parents shouldn't be parents. So, just saying. Don't know if that's the case for your father. You are welcome to tell us or completely be like, nah, I'm not sharing that information. Again, personal question, so you be as open as you like to be. But you did say that it's accurate, so I hope that it was. And of course, feel free to just look at the images yourself. Again, remember, you got this upside down. Feel free to look at these images yourself, look them up, do whatever you want, and make your own interpretation up. I'm just here to guide you to what the card could possibly mean with your question. My job here is to just be like, here's the possibilities, and that's what tarot cards are for. They're all about the possibilities. They're not about predictions. So these could be entirely wrong, for all we know. But according to you, they're accurate, so that's good. All right, Ruinot asked a lovely question. Thank you, bro. No problem, Zolan. Happy to do this. I have fun with these. Enjoyable to me. What should I focus on in the most upcoming weeks? Perfectly suitable question. What should you focus on? Okay. I'm going to do a 3-card spread for this one, since we don't have another question lined up, so I can take my time with this one. I know some of these take a while to go through. Usually I read in an article by some bitch, basically said, oh, when you're doing a live stream, make the readings quick. And then, like, all that shit. I'm like, you know, whatever. Like, if she was the only bitch that wrote an article on that such a thing, again, most people don't stream this stuff, which is weird to me, considering that these are not unpopular. Tarot cards aren't unpopular, but, you know. They are certainly there's a lot of superstition about them, that's for sure. But again, they're just fucking cards. There's nothing mystical about them. You know. Do you have psychic powers, Clairol? No, I don't. I don't believe in psychic powers. I believe in certainly quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and that we're all connected and that sort of thing. But you know, I don't want to get too spiritual on your ass right now. But you know, the whole point of tarot cards is that they're simple. That's the point. They're so simple. And humans are, you know, obviously complicated and probably stupid. Cards, on the other hand, they don't have intelligence, so they can't be stupid. All right, so there you go. Now I'm rambling. All right, so the Empress stands for power that's been granted. Okay. No, that wasn't a good question. What should I focus on? Let me look at it again. What should I focus on in the most upcoming weeks? The most. What should I focus on the most in the upcoming weeks? Okay, so that's going to be a 1 card. I'd pick 1 card. Because if you asked what you should focus on, I would have given you like a 3-card spread, given you 3 things to sort of work from. Although that might be complicated. But, and Ruinot. How many cuts? Any number at all. Could be 1. Could be 1. You could always say 1 and be like none. Or you could even say none. No cuts. You know, any number. 0, 1, 100. I mean, we'll probably be here a while with 100. Just saying. 14 cuts. All right. They won't be even, that's for sure. Just saying. If you give me a big number, I'll cut them, but they're not going to be even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just trying to grab more than 1 card. And 6, 7, 8, 9. 5,000 cuts, you can get the fuck out. 10. 11. 12. 2 cards. 13. One is thick enough for me to actually give a cut. 2 from here. And 2 from here. And we'll put 2 more. There we go. Okay. That's 14. That's 14 cuts. Alright, Ruinot. Pick a number. 1 through 14. And just to reiterate, there are 78 cards in here, so whatever card you get for your answer, be aware, there's 78 other cards. 77 other cards if you only get one card for your question that you could have gotten. So when you're questioning how accurate something is, be aware you got that card out of 77 cards. Just be aware of that. So 7. 1, 2, 3. I don't even know if all these are camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just making this up as I go. There's nothing special. There's no knowledge that I looked up. I mean, you can find particular spreads online, but those are often pretty complicated. For example, that bitch I talked about with the article, she basically said, don't do the Celtic cross, which I wouldn't know how to do anyway because I've never done it. Although it is the most commonly known one, but I've never done it, and I wouldn't know how to set it up or what any of it means. But basically she said, don't do that. I feel like doing something else now. That's totally fine, Frederick. You have a fucking great day. I hope you don't get anally penetrated. Unless you like to be anally penetrated, then by all means, please, be anally penetrated. All you like. But hopefully you don't, because it's pretty dangerous. Alright, so these are the 2 7s. Alright, everyone, let's see. What do we got here? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ruinot, 1 through 8. Give me a number. Make these. I'm gonna shove that right there. There we go. Penetrated? Well, I did say anal, didn't I? Did I misspeak? Anal can be painful. Kind of rhymes. Golden middle. There's no middle. Wait, was there? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's no middle. Those would be 4. Okay. What do I mean by that? What do you mean? That anal and painful rhymes? That anal sex is usually more likely to be painful than any other kind of sex? I mean, you know, people are used to shoving shit in their mouths. People aren't used to shoving shit in their ass. They're used to shoving shit out of their ass. So, you know, there's that. That's your card, Ruinot. So what you should most focus on... Okay, so it is inverted. Never seen this card. This is the 4 of Wands. Huh. 4 of Wands. I'm just looking at it. I meant penetrate, but I said penetrate, I guess. But, I mean, it works either way, is my point. Penetrate? Like, it's anal. It could be painful penetration. Penetrate? I'll make up words. Whatever. Alright, so that's the normal side, but you did draw this upside down. So it's the 4 of Wands upside down. So I've never actually seen this one. Let's see what the professional book says before I do my little image thing. The 4 of Wands. From the 4 great staves planted on the ground, there is a great garland suspended. 2 female figures uplift. Female figures? How do we know they're women? I mean, maybe the right one you could argue is a woman, but I don't know how you would necessarily say the one wearing blue is a woman. And really the only way we're arguing that the one on the right is a woman is because you can kind of see her hair, and it does look feminine. I don't know how that... Okay, I'm just saying, I don't know how that other one's inherently a woman, but whatever. Uplift nose gaze. I don't know what the fucking nose gaze is. Rape a panda. I'm currently raping a panda. My dick is off the camera for a reason. And at their side is a bridge over the moat leading to an old manorial house. Well, the meaning is they are, for once, almost on the surface, country life, repose, concord, harmony, prosperity, and peace. Now, you did get this reversed, so it looks like this. This is how I drew it to you guys. You're seeing it how I drew it. Reversed. The meaning remains unaltered. Increase, felicity, beauty, embellishment. So what you should focus on the most in the upcoming weeks is perhaps according to this card. Because, yeah, inverted, it really doesn't necessarily change anything. Actually, pretty much, yeah, it doesn't really change too much. I would have to agree with that. It doesn't, everything's still pretty hunky-dory. Right, so I would say, my interpretation from the card itself, is that you should probably focus, certainly, on celebration, maybe for what you have, or maybe you should celebrate and gain more. You should have a bounty, because there is a bunch of fruit up here. Again, you did get it inversed, but again, inverse, nothing really changes. There's still bountiful fruit. There's still certainly happy-looking people, happy farm fields. You know, obviously they're in a good enough position where they can waste wands on building a structure. So there's something to say about that, right? They can waste their time to actually build fanciful decorations. So I think you shouldn't waste your time on necessarily frivolities. You should focus on gaining something of perhaps more importance than a celebration, because that's what they said. The inverse doesn't mean anything different, but I would think the inverse actually means, so this regularly, I think it would mean something along the lines of frivolous sort of thing, superficial, not necessarily superficial, but unneeded, you know, an unneeded celebration. Inversed, you know, that's what I would mean. That's what I would take it as to mean, something that is not unneeded. So focus on things that you need. Focus on things that benefit you in a holistic way rather than a superficial way, rather than, you know, as a, ooh, let's party and have good times. Focus more on stuff that's not necessarily don't go to a party or something, you know. It's not saying don't have fun, don't, you know, be serious, ruin it. It's not saying that, but it's saying do things, focus on things that give you some kind of embellishment, some kind of permanent benefit that will stick with you. That's what it's saying. It doesn't necessarily mean don't have fun, is my point. That's what I would understand it as. But again, feel free to completely ignore the fuck out of me. If I were to go to college, how would my experience be? Well, I can tell you, Rob, it'll be fucking terrible. Are you in the States, Rob? It'll be fucking terrible. If you're in the United States anyway, I can't speak about other colleges, but holy shit, it'll be terrible. Your experience will be awful and horrifying. Why is there so much banging in the house? It distracts me. But let's see what the tarot cards say about what your experience would be like in college. And remember, this is based on your current mindset, Rob, just like the other thing about trade school. Okay. And I'm gonna just this, take this off. Whee! Put this over here. Mixing them up, mixing them up. Mix them up like pasta sauce in your butt. I don't know what I'm saying. Alright. Alright, Rob. This is going to be a one-card spread as well. Pretty straightforward question, I would say. How many cuts, Rob? If it's anything past 10, I hope you die. Just saying. Just saying. You're so funny, Rob. I just want to kill you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is actually 9 technically, but just gonna do one more. Alright, there's not enough cards in them. Alright, I gotta start saying like 1 through 9, 1 through like 8 cuts or something. There's just not enough cards to actually cut them sufficiently. Alright, Rob. Let me see. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, Rob. No, I'm giving you something different, Rob. This side, Rob, or this side? 1 or 2? Tell me what you want. 1, 2. No. The answer was 1 or 2, Rob. 1 or 2. That's what I call mixed up. 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you count how many you? One. Got it. All right, Rob. How are we gonna do this? Pick a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pick a number 1 through 5. These are from the top of the deck. 1. Wait. Get the fuck out of here, number 2. Oh wait, that was 4. Right, my bad. You asked for 4. Sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Woo! Goodbye, everyone else. Goodbye. Queen of Cups. Goodbye. You were not chosen, and you were inversed. All right. Whee! What do we got? We have reversed temperance. Inversed. Temperance inversed. So what does that mean? Well, I can imagine what it already means, but let's see what the professionals say. So normally it means economy, moderation, frugality, management, accommodation. Of course, it's temperance. Reversed, things connected with churches, religions, sects of the priesthood, or rather sects than the priesthood. Also, unfortunate combinations, disunion, and competing interests. Well, it is an angel. Upside down. Also as an image. The angel is holding 2 cups, pouring 1 cup into the other, sort of balancing the 2 cups of liquid. Again, temperance, you know. Holding yourself back, keeping things in moderation. So I would say that, well, the fact that it's an angel upside down, you know, probably not a good time. But it's also the inverse of temperance. You're probably not going to have a contenting time. You're probably not going to be content at college. You're probably not going to have, you're going to have a turbulent experience. I would say you're probably also not going to get where you're going. You can also actually also see, normally, the angel has their foot just dipping into the water. Just one little foot dipping into the water. Everything's also pretty balanced in the image. Again, temperance, you know, indicating that. But again, you're not going to be content with college. So you're not going to be content with college. You're not going to be content with trade school. I take it, Rob, you don't like learning shit. You don't like stressful situations. You probably don't like people. So anything involving people, you're probably going to get a fucking card. That's not a very happy one. So I would personally say both of them suck. I mean, in technicality they do, because, you know, either way you're gonna have to work hard. I mean, personally my recommendation is trade school. That's just me, but the card is saying you're not gonna have a contenting time. That doesn't necessarily mean a bad time. You could have copious amounts of joy, but you wouldn't be here if you liked people. That is true. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna have a bad time. It just means you're not gonna have a content time. So whether that means copious amounts of joy or copious amounts of pain and suffering, who knows? But it is an angel upside down, so I would go on the side of caution here and say probably not good. And considering temperance means in moderation, balance, and everything like that, or, you know, not indulging, you're probably going to indulge in one of those things or the other, good or bad. And I think we both know that that is probably going to be bad because it's college. It's fucking terrible. So, you know, my recommendation, go to trade school. You got a better card for that in terms of the situation. Not that the card is bad, but you got a better outcome, I would say, with that. Both in terms of practicality and in terms of what the cards say. Well, that's what I would say. I need a drink. Someone else give me a question while I take a drink. This is mostly a talking stream, so throat gets dry pretty quick. Claro Lake tapping over here. It's my mouse, alright? It's not my dildo. That's over there. No, I don't have a dildo. The cards would say that. Does Claro have a dildo? No. No questions? Which cards describe my life the best? Which cards describe my life the best? Okay. We can do that. That'll be a 3-card spread. Let's do a 3-card spread on that one. Actually, you know what? Life has 2 aspects. And some would say they're one and the same, but either way, in terms of biological stuffs and even spiritual stuffs, there's always life and death. So which cards describe my life the best? Well, we're going to do a 2-card spread for you, Ruinat. One representing the life side, and the other one representing the other side of things, the death. So let's go ahead and say 1 represents sort of the good things that are happening in your life, and 2 represents maybe a challenge that's in your life. Not necessarily a bad thing, but some kind of challenge, something that's in your life that you don't necessarily like. It could be a good thing that you don't like. It could be a bad thing that you don't like, but it's something that challenges you. We're going to do a 2-card spread. So we're going to roll with it. I'm gonna mix the cards on my dick. I'm gonna mix the cards. Oh, whoa. I'm gonna mix them up all on my dick. Oh, put them on my dick. Yeah, and then I'm gonna mix them up. I'm gonna mix them up. I'm gonna do it again. This time smaller cuts, oh, whoa, whoa. I'm gonna mix them up. Alright, Ruinat. How many cuts do we do? It's like, but I already saw that one, Claro. It's fine. You can look at the bottom one. Just whatever. How many cuts? Keep it 1 through 5, Ruinat. Okay. 1 through 5 is your number now. Four. 1. We're just gonna do 4 cuts. There you go. 4. Alright, Ruinat. Which one are we working with? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Buzdogan didn't even stay for the, even one reading. He just kind of showed up, said some shit for 5 minutes, and then left. Didn't he? I think basically when we actually went live, he left. So, I don't know why. He just left. Whatever. 4. That's the one. That is the one. It is the one that you desire. Some arbitrary reason. Okay. So. How are we gonna do this? So we need 2 cards from this. Alright. Need 2 cards, Ruinat. Give me 2 numbers. 1 through 10. Give me 2 numbers, 1 through 10. Could be any. Okay, so you can be 2 and 5. You can give me 5 and 5. They can both be the same number. Give me 2 numbers, 1 through 10. Whatever ones you want. 1 and 1. 10 and 10. 7 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the one. Yeah, I estimated how many cards were in there. Just enough. Okay. Alright, Ruinat. This, or tell me which of these cards is the challenges in your life. 1 or 2. Is 1 your challenges, or is 2 your challenges? And the other one will be your benefit. Whichever one is not your challenge. So what difficulties do you have in your life? 1 or 2? Which number gives you the most fucking trouble in math questions? 1. This is your challenges. This is your good things, I guess. Let's just, I don't know. So this is your challenge. This is the good things about your life. So let's go ahead and talk about the good. So we have the 3 of Pentacles. Well, what I'm seeing in this image is interesting. I've never seen this card before, but from what I'm seeing, we have some kind of construction plan. He's got a chalice there. He's going to go put it probably up somewhere up here. So there's some sort of construction. Something that is in your life is certainly being built up. Something is being constructed, and it's already something that exists. It's already something that is somewhat constructed. It's already something that you've worked on before, or that was given to you before, or something like that. Now, the pentacles, the actual pentagrams here, again, I take those to mean something of knowledge, something you have. So this building that is being constructed in your life relates to something you already have. It's already been built, and you already know about it. So it's something you know. It's definitely something you know. It's not something that's you have a question about. Let's see. Anything else we can really extrapolate from the images itself? Everyone's seemingly pretty satisfied about how the construction is going, so maybe other people in your life are happy with it. You're probably, of course, happy with it, since you did say this is the good shit. So there's that. Let's see what the professionals say about the 3 Pentacles. 3 of Pentacles. A sculptor at his work in the monastery. Yep. Divinatory meanings. I don't know what the fuck that word means. It's probably, I don't think that's even an English word. I've never heard of it. Trade, skilled labor, usually, however, regarded as a card of nobility, aristocracy, renown, and glory. That's something about that. So, put that to the side. Now, your challenges. You got the High Priestess inverted. So, the High Priestess, I've never actually taken a look at that card either, from the professional opinion. Let's see, it's a major arcana. So it's something, a major arcana, which doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it could be something big. That's a challenge. So this might be one of the big challenges in your life, which would be rather important to know about. So the High Priestess reverse. Okay, so the Priestess normally means secrets, mystery, the future as yet unrevealed, the woman who interests the querent if you're a male, or the querent if female. Silence, basically someone who's interested in you, but, you know, it's relationship stuff. Silence, tenacity, wisdom, and science is what it normally means. So it's inversed, according to professionals anyway, means passion, moral or physical ardor, conceit, surface knowledge. So one of the challenges you have in your life is, according to the professionals, before we actually look at the card itself and what it actually shows, it's something to do with surface knowledge. It's something that you're just, it's probably a problem that's on the surface. It's probably readily visible. It could be something to do with you being superficial. Could be. Probably not. But it could be something that you only have it's something that's visible. It's something you could probably see. Perhaps even physically see. Or mentally. It doesn't need to be physical. Either one. It's probably something you see. So the High Priestess inverted. Well, we've got B and J pillars. We got pillars with B and J on them. Inversed. B and J, I don't exactly know what that would mean. I mean, maybe this is black. Maybe I don't know what J is. We also have the Christian logo. Cross on there. But a cross can not necessarily mean anything in terms of Christianity, but it could be. We have a stained glass image in the background. Got an orb at the top of her head, it seems. And she's holding a book. She's holding, apparently, it says Torah. And it doesn't look like a Torah, so I have no idea if that's actually, it doesn't look like a Torah. And it'd be weird if she was carrying a Torah anyway. But anyway, I really don't know what to say about the fact that it's inverted. I really don't know what you can get out of that for your question as a challenge. Maybe you're challenging your faith in something. Doesn't necessarily need to be religious, because as I said, the cross is not necessarily a symbol of Christianity of any way, because it could be a symbol of multiple things. But something perhaps of faith is being questioned. Something perhaps of knowledge is being questioned. Let me see. What was the regular meaning again? High Priestess. The regular meaning, secrets, mysteries. And the reverse is passions, moral or physical ardor. So maybe something of a passion of yours you're not getting to enough. And maybe that hurts you. Maybe it upsets you. Maybe some kind of physical thing you have a challenge with, like exercise. I mean, you are seeing the inverse of someone who's worked to get where they are. They are a High Priestess. This is the inverse of that. So your challenge is that you're probably somewhere where you're not a High Priestess. You're not a high-ranking person. You're pretty lowly. You're a common citizen, let's say. This can actually, given the fact I know you're in Germany, it could be the fact that your kind no longer run the country, basically. So it could be that as a challenge. Maybe it could be referring to the refugees, so-called refugees, in Germany, mucking up the place. It could be something like that. I mean, it is surface level. It's something that's visible, right? So whatever challenge it is, it's definitely something you could see, again, physically or mentally. And again, refugees would be a suitable answer to that. You haven't said anything yet, Ruinat, so is this accurate? Is any of this accurate? Good stuff being something that you are already building and you're continuing to build up. And this is something you could see at surface level, or something to do with your status in life that's a challenge for you, the fact that you're not in a position of power, probably. Or a position of faith, because it is a priestess. So you're something may be in your faith that's wrong. Or it could be relating again to the Muslims, since the Muslims are a religious thing. So it could be that the Muslims are a problem in your country. It's a challenge for you. The cons, not so much. Cons, not so much. Well, like I said, I mean, my guidance could be completely wrong, so feel free to throw it out and make up your own. Maybe you'll find a way that the card does work. But tarot cards may not necessarily, again, as we've seen, be clear-cut. This is a challenging one, which is ironic considering it is the card you picked as the challenge. So it is a challenge to read this one for your challenges, which in and of itself might mean that it's hard for you to... It might actually be an ironic card, because it is an ironic card, given the context of your question. It might be that you're not supposed to actually see your challenge. Even though this means surface level in the inverse, it might be something that is a challenge to actually see on the surface. Maybe it's easier to see it on a not-so-surface level. Or maybe you're just blind. Maybe you can't see the challenge that this card is referring to. Again, what it actually is pretty hard to determine. It's a toughie. The cards may not necessarily be clear, is the point. Or maybe they're just wrong. Who knows? It wouldn't surprise me. Any other questions, folks? Any at all? It's actually lasted 2 hours. That's impressive. Feel free to give any questions. Any at all. That are suitable. I'll let you know if it's not suitable. I'm going to take another drink. After every question, I need a drink. It's a lot of talking. Nipples in my cards. There's actually some cards with nipples on them. Just thought I should say that. No questions? None? Is that it? We done for this day? That's up to you. It's up to you guys. I got no questions. I will close out because it has been 2 hours. No questions. Last call for questions. If you're thinking about a question, let me know so I don't close out the stream. How about a read for the world? A read for all of us as one in this place. You want to get a little more specific with that question, Typehauser? Welcome to the stream, by the way, Typehauser. You want to get a little more specific with that question? Because tarot cards are pretty specific. So, what about the world did you want a reading for? What our future holds for us? Because it's probably not good, but, we'll see what the cards say. But if you could be a little more specific. What about all of us in this world, which would basically include the universe? What about the universe specifically do you want to know about? What our future holds, what our past held. Remember, questions can also be about the present, about the past, or the future. It could be any of them. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be something that happened in the future. You could ask, for example, what part of my childhood am I not remembering? What part of my childhood has helped sculpt me the most or something like that? It could be something in the past that you ask. These aren't future things. These are anything. More or less. Most anything. So yeah, for future reference. So if the future of the world, what's the future hold for the world? Probably not going to be good. Or, well, it could be a good sort of scenario that is shown, but I'll explain that if we come across that one. But we'll see what the card says. I'm just thinking of some cards that might show up. And if they do, at first you might think, oh, that's a happy one, but it might be happy, but not in the way that you're thinking. And it probably doesn't actually mean good things for you. So I'm shuffling these up. Gonna put these down here. Whee! Don't worry, again, it's not the whole deck. I did that once, I don't need to do that again. Be here forever. And thank you for the question, Typehauser. A little worried, because I can keep going. But, there's no more questions. No. Alright, Typehauser. Tell me, how many cuts do you like? Do you like uno cuts? Dos cuts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Oder 8? Oder 9? Oder 10? I don't know why I gave the numbers in German. Because I can. 3 cuts. Yes, 3. 1, 2. Then 3 right there. Okay. Which of these three is it, Type Hauser? Trying not to reveal the bottom card. My webcam is actually sitting on like the end of my laptop, because putting it on top of my laptop, you'll actually see the bottom part of the laptop, which takes up like that much. If I can angle this right. Yeah, like that much screen space. The middle one. Goodbye. Middle one. We got a lot of cards here. Death. You know, death is not a bad card. Again, there's no bad cards, so even if it was a death, you know, could mean several things. All right, Type Browser. We got this one now. How many cuts of this one? We got rid of this many. About half the deck, really. Not half the deck, actually. How many cuts into the one little half of the deck? That's the thing, again, half the cards are basically gone. That's the thing, that's why, you know, Tarot's very specific. How many cuts in the middle? Keep the number below 10, just throwing it out there. For future reference, for everyone. Keep the number under 10. In this case, it should be like under 5. For the world, remember. Of course, for the world. I say 4 cuts. 1, 2. Alright, Type Hauser. Which of these is our card? Only the tops. Which of these top cards are ours? 1, 2, 3, or 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Just go a little slower so I'm not like, which one is the car? 1, 2, 3, 4. One. That's our card. Get the fuck out of here. The world doesn't give a shit about you. It doesn't care. It hopes you die. No. Alright. Cards can't die. We have the Queen of Pentacles. That's, you know, I've never seen this card before, but I kind of get it. I kind of get it already. The Queen of Pentacles reversed. That's what it looks like. Try to get it a little closer. There you go. There we go. Show you guys what it looks like. Would be funny if you pulled the world. It would be funny. The world is the world. No, okay. So it is inversed. So let's first. I've never actually seen the professional opinion, quote unquote, about those cards. Let's see what the professional opinion says. It is a major arcana, so there's something to be said for that. Let's see. Actually, no, it's not a major arcana. Actually, it is. Yeah, it is a major one, technically, because it is a queen, right? Not a major arcana. I lied. The star. That's a pentagram. It's not a star. Pentagram. Not a star. Pentagram. Not a star. It's not a star. Technically a pentagram. Just saying. So the queen. Pentacles. Now, normally, it represents opulence. Of course, it's a queen. Generosity, security, magnificence, and liberty. That's normally what it means. This is inverted, though. That's how it showed up for you guys, for your vision. So, reversed, according to professionals, it means evil, fear, suspicion, suspense, and mistrust. Well, I that's why I said this, just from looking at it. I was like, hey, that's pretty accurate. So that's the professional opinion. I mean, we can clearly see where that is mistrust and everything. I mean, you have a bunch of nations that are not cohesive anymore because of the refugee invasion. You have, even in America, where there's not so many refugees, we're so fucked in general because we have no cohesiveness. We're not unified. We're not together in any fucking, you know, In any fucking sense of the word, we are all mistrusting of each other, which, I mean, who wouldn't? In all honesty. And so let's actually look at the card itself and see what it's telling us in terms of just from the card. That's the professional opinion. Let's look at the card. I'm looking at it inversed, of course. So, inverted, what I see, of course, is a queen. And the queen has a facial expression of mischief or curiosity. She's sort of looking into like a crystal ball and sort of questioning what's inside of it. Who would be willing to unify us? Oh, Rob. Wink. Now, a queen that's inverted is someone who's probably fallen from queenhood. Someone who's no longer royal. Someone who's no longer necessarily... What's the word I'm looking for? Someone who's not necessarily... God. I just had the thought in my head. Alright, well, someone who's dropped from royalty, who maybe doesn't deserve royalty, and I would say certainly the world doesn't deserve any, favors. It doesn't deserve any favors. It doesn't deserve any sort of thing like that, because the world is a pretty terrible place. And not just in terms of humans, but in terms of the entire fucking thing. I mean, it's all pointless. So, it's pretty terrible. Now, again, I take pentagrams to mean something along the lines of knowledge. Again, you can interpret it any way you like. You could say I'm full of bullshit. But I take these to mean some sort of knowledge. So this is inverse. So I also take this on a more lighthearted note, or not jokingly, but on a lighthearted stuff. I would say that it represents our loss of knowledge. Right. I mean, if you look at various societies that matter, not rational thinking, logical thinking is thrown out the window. Right. There's no accounting for facts. It's all about feelings. It's all about what people want, not what they need. It's all about that. So this card tells me that we are going to lose our knowledge. It's going to go further down the tube. It's going to go further to the whole, let's talk about our feelings. Let's give a shit about our feelings and our offendedness and all that sort of stuff. We're not going to face facts. The world is not going to face facts. Now, you may face facts. I certainly do. But the world as a whole will not face facts. The world will continue down the path that is probably currently on, which is, of course, constantly failing. I mean, when you think about it, every single thing in the universe is always in a state of chaos. It's always in a state of chaotic behavior. It's always in a state of deterioration. Look at the sun. The sun deteriorates. The moon deteriorates. Asteroids and shit hit that shit. It all goes dust to dust, right? Same with humans. We die, we deteriorate. Same with every animal. The whole world deteriorates. So this stuff, the knowledge and everything that we've acquired, all the stuff that we've earned, whether it be our royalty or our, anything that makes us special, anything that makes us knowledgeable, it's all going down. So dust to dust is basically what I'm thinking when I look at this card, just on the card itself. Because again, the professional opinion does not take into account the question. Because this would have a completely different meaning if we were talking about, something else. So I would say this card definitely is pretty spot on, because I definitely think it's going to get worse before it gets better, if it even gets better. Because this card doesn't really have much of... It does have the quizzical look that the queen has, so maybe she's not interested, given it's inversed, but maybe that still stays there, and maybe when the world has fallen back to more simple times, let's say, where, we go back to sort of rational thinking. And, card looks like a devil, or just in general a bad being held upside down pentagram. That is true. I mean, again, it's the fall upside, it's the fall of things. It's definitely the fall of something. The world is falling, basically. And I don't just say that because, it's gravity. No, I'm just going from the image. Gravity is not, it's a card. There's no gravity. But, yeah. And you can actually see that the surrounding flowers have definitely a sort of sinister look to them. If you look at those flower vines, you can see those are black vines and leaves. And it's probably roses. I can't tell if it's roses. The flowers aren't detailed enough in the image to make out. There's actually some fruit there, so they're probably not roses. But either way, those vines look pretty sinister. And they are awfully surrounding this queen. Very much so. So, not good things, I would say. And the vines themselves could represent something of like an overthrow of royalty. It could represent an overthrow of royalty. It could represent an overthrow of that. But what these vines probably mean, given that it's reversed, if we're going to go with that interpretation of these vines, which do look sinister to me, I would say the reversal is that the masses, the others outside of the queen's influence or the queen's royalty, simpletons, let's say, is what these vines represent. They are not going to overthrow the queen. Take Germany, for example. They haven't overthrown Merkel, who fucked that country over. The Brexit was sort of the antithesis of this, but again, we're talking about the world. We're not talking about, specific countries. We're talking about the entire world, everything, the entire universe. And everything will actually... you could take this literally to mean the big crunch, right? So we had the Big Bang, and in theory, once everything explodes outward, the inverse will happen. For every force, there's also an equal counterforce, which would then be the big crunch. So everything will collapse in on itself. Dust to dust, basically, in its simple terms. Like my cum. Well, I do like your cum, but yes, also similar to your cum. Alright, folks. Any more questions? I'm surprised this stream lasted 2 hours, honestly. Kind of surprised about that. Because, didn't expect that many good questions. Pretty good questions so far. Minus, like, the one joke question at the beginning? No, like, nothing. I mean, not that I even did that one, because I had an actual question to show off right now. Good questions, guys. Good questions. But if there's no more questions, we are out. Can I ask a secret question? Which card represents Claral Stream the best? Alright. I don't know what you meant by secret question, Rob, but Ruinette has a question. So, he has an actual question. Because, can I ask a secret question? Well, let's ask the tarot cards if Rob can ask a secret question. Which card represents Claral Stream the best? Let's see how accurate this one is. My stream is all over the place, though, Ruinette, so this will be a tough one, probably, to interpret. Because my stream is all over the place. Boom. 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 Flip that one. Flip this one. Put this over here. And then put that one on the bottom. And on the bottom. And on the bottom. Which card represents Claral Stream the best? So, because it is a question concerning my stream, I'm going to go ahead and cut them how I like. Kind of concerns me. Good question, though, Ruinette. I give you credit for the question, but I think I'm going to take over for this stuff. So I'm going to... I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to take the top card. That's all I'm going to do. Which card represents Claral Stream the best? Whee! Huh. So it's a reversal. Okay, so this is the 5 of Pentacles. Ooh. Okay. Well, we got the reversal of this, so first let's look at the regular version. So we've got... Before we even look at the professional stuff, we've got two sickly-looking people. One's barely walking. The other... they're both barely walking. They're both clearly dying and not having a very good time. And you have this... You have the stained glass window, which is actually the most opulent thing in the entire scene. I would say that normally this card means something along the lines of, all your knowledge, all your strength, all your capabilities mean nothing. Bad times for you, it doesn't matter what's going on, because this is a very sinister scene. It's all noise. See, like, your knowledge, it's surrounded by noise, so it doesn't you know, it doesn't help you. You're fucked. You know, on a baseline degree of that. But we got it inversed. So I would say inversed. This card certainly means that the first thing is about this card is when you invert it, the first thing that's on the bottom, the base of the image, is the knowledge, is the things you know. And of course, then everything else. But I would say inverse, this means something along the lines of the knowledge is going to be the base of things. And therefore, all of this stuff changes because now you have your knowledge, your power, actually supporting you. Whereas this isn't supporting them, right? Because it's not a base, it's a ceiling. And the ceiling doesn't cover them from everything else that's raining down, right? So to speak. So this sounds like a base to me. So I would say this means, in this particular question, that people are not dying for my stream. People are instead probably having a pretty good time. They're probably pretty comfy. But let's go ahead and see what the actual professional stuff says for this. And see if we can extrapolate something from that. Because this is a toughie, actually. This is a toughie. So the 5 of Pentacles. Pentacles. I want to say Pentacles. 5 of Pentacles. This is actually, they're saying this is a snowstorm. Interesting. Pass a lighted casement. Okay. So the regular meaning, put this way, the regular meaning of this, it foretells a material trouble above all, whether in the form of illustrated, again, a material trouble, right? So something that's physical, not something that, like I said, is knowledge, not something that's something you own, something that, you know, is powerful. It's a material thing. It's something that can be destroyed. So it foretells material trouble above all. So you see, this is not affected by the snowstorm either, so maybe your knowledge isn't affected. Right. It could also, the card could normally mean maybe your knowledge isn't affecting anything around you. It's not useful to you, but it's you know, this is represents a non-material good. So the non-material things are fine. The material stuff, which includes your body, is not so fine. Whether in the form of illustrated, that is the destitution, or otherwise, for some cartoon mansis. I don't know what the fuck. Why do they have such fancy words in this thing? It is a card of lovers, of love and lovers, wife, husband, friends, mistress. Also concordance affinities, so probably something along the lines of relationship troubles of some kind. Whether that be a romantic thing or otherwise, because there's nothing necessarily romantic about this. Although it is seemingly a man and a woman, so probably more likely to be something of that nature. Again, could be mother, son, anything like that. Now reversed, it does mean... so reversed, as I said, my stream... what did I say, Ruin? I said my stream is all over the place, right? Guess what the first word is for reversed? Disorder, chaos, ruin, discord, and profligacy. Alright, what... I gotta know what this word means. Someone look up what profligacy means. I can't type right now because of my setup. You guys can't see it, but my setup is rather difficult for me to type because the webcam's like on the laptop. But I mean, that's mostly accurate. My stream is all over the place. It's not. I decide what games to play the day of. I decide, you know, on various things like, hey, I'm going to do tarot card streams. I was thinking of buying a tarot card deck for a few months now. Actually, I just got it a few days ago, really. But I've been deciding to do that for a while, but I didn't like go into the purchase of it with thinking I'm going to stream it. But, you know, I figured it'd be cool. So yeah, my stream is basically, as this indicates, all over the place. Disorder, but probably not a bad time. You know, probably something unfamiliar to most people, perhaps. Since I don't run as tight of a ship as most streamers, I would say. Pretty open as shit and politically incorrect, so it's probably not used to be. So, you know, people are probably used to that, of course. But overall, I would say pretty accurate card. You can all let me know if you think it's accurate or not, but I would say that's a pretty accurate card. Especially when I said at the start that it was, my stream is pretty, you know, chaotic. It's pretty all over the place. So, there you go. shameless dissoluteness, great abundance, reckless extravagance. That's what prolific means. That is exactly correct. Shameless. I am shameless. I have no shame. Great abundance. I mean, I normally stream 4 days a week, although this is changing. In case you're new to the stream, I got a job recently, so my streaming schedule that I have below, completely ignore that. It's gonna have to change because I have a job now. So that was without a job. So I probably will be streaming at best twice a week. At best. And how much of that will be consoles, I have no idea. Video game consoles, because my laptop sucks. In fact, I have a webcam on my laptop, but this is the Logitech C525, because my laptop webcam sucks. And reckless extravagance, I mean, I don't give a shit, right? But I'm here to provide extravagance, I would think so. So it's reckless extravagance. There you go. All right, folks, that is the final question of the day. I'm going to call it there at 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm surprised this lasted so long, but I'm glad people were interested in it. I'm glad we actually had no sour swords going like, oh, man, this is bullshit. Shut up, Rob. Nobody cares. My secret question. No, Rob. Rob. No. No. No, Rob. The reads were good. Thanks, Type Browser. But feel free to completely ignore what the fuck I say. And just come up with your own shit. You know, you guys can see it. Whatever the fuck it tells you. I mean, again, it was inverted. Just saying. Fish. Maybe next time, Rob. Write it down, Rob. You can use it for the next stream. But I'm done. I'm running out of liquids. But, yeah, so thanks everyone for watching. That was some good shit. Yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoyed. I'm very happy the PC people enjoyed, because, you know, I was expecting someone to show up and be like, oh, these cards are bullshit, and this whole thing is bullshit. But as I said in the beginning, there's nothing special about these cards anyway, so I don't really see it. You can say that. They're just things with images on them. It's just, they don't mean anything. Like, at the end, like, I mean, they mean something, right, because they're symbols, but at the end of the day, they're just cards. Nothing fancy about it. That was interesting though how a lot of new cards in my repertoire in terms of ones I've seen. Again, I got this thing like 4 or 5 days ago, if that. Might even be 3. I don't quite remember. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I will see you all at some other point. I won't be going to work Monday actually, so Monday there will be a stream Monday. Now, again, that schedule below, if you're on a computer and you scroll down and you see my schedule, ignore that. Just ignore it. It's not true. Because a lot of that's gotten fucked by the job, because my job is pretty bad hours. Not on weekends, though. On weekends, it's only 6 to 10. That's why I was able to stream today. So Saturday, I'll probably still be streaming. Monday, I just temporarily don't have the day off. But I will probably be working 7 days a week. So we'll see what happens with that, but I will be streaming this Monday. So that will be a console stream, by the way. That'll be on the video game consoles. We're probably going to do Skylanders. I know Skylanders is supposed to be Wednesday, but I will be working Wednesday, so I'm going to probably do Monday Skylanders. Just actually got to make a panel anyway saying like every day, like 1 day a week will be Skylanders. And thanks, Type Browser, for joining us. I don't know how long you were here. I don't quite remember. There's a bunch of names that I was reading today. So, but thank you. It's a pleasure having you here. It's a pleasure having everyone here, of course. And, yeah, I will see you all Monday. Rape a panda. Should you rape a panda, the tarot cards give you the Hermit. You should probably rape a panda. Probably do that, because, you know, the Hermit, I mean, you know, you're outside of society's norms, right? I mean, you know, you're a hermit. You're not part of society's norms, and society says, no, you shouldn't rape pandas. But this card says, rape the panda. Rape the panda. There you go. Actually, for me, it's inverted. It's the inverted hermit. But still, fuck the card. Rape the panda. Goodbye, everyone. Hi, Gorman. Bye, Gorman. I'm sorry you came late. I couldn't make you come myself. Disappointed. But I still love you, Gorman. Kiss, kiss.